welcome to another Checiegirl Creations video. So today I will be redecorating a boomerang I got in a kit when I was like around 7 or 8. And I found this when I was moving into my new studio, and I decided I would want to repaint it to display it in my studio. So you can see that's what it looks like now, and my plan wasn't to like make it look like a traditional boomerang, but I'm not going to do it like really colorful because I did want a kind of earthier feel to it because it is a boomerang. So that yellow ochre paint is by Incado. It's kind of dried out, so I put some fluid retarder in it just to save it, and I just keep on checking it every now and again, and it is softening up, so that's good. So yeah, and I'm using yellow ochre from Incado, rose madder, violet, and burnt sienna from Reeves. The burnt sienna isn't really burnt sienna though. It's a very kind of rich reddy brown, but it's not burnt. It's not really burnt sienna, but it would work for this project. And I also used some Wilko's gold paint as well as some Reeves titanium white paint. And all the supplies I use will be listed down below in the description. So I started off with the yellow ochre, and then I blended in the brown so it wouldn't look so like rich. And I do add in some gold and the red. And I'm just using an old brush because I wasn't being very specific with where I was putting the colors, so I didn't need like a really good brush to do it with. And I'm doing it very abstract, just like how I did my smudge bowl. If you can't remember that video, I will link it in an iCard in the top right hand corner. And so I'm doing it like with initial layer of paint, and then I let that dry and I go in with a second layer to like darken things up, because just the same way I added like white like details and doodles to the smudge bowl, it's the same way that I did it with the boomerang as well. So I did need it to be nice and dark, and to help with that like earthy look, purple and yellow are opposite on the color wheel, so that did help kind of like dull it down a little bit. So you can see that's the first layer dry, and then I can go in with my second layer of paint. And if you do want to see this video in real time with real-time commentary, you can become a Patreon from just $3 a month, and all that is linked down below. You can get early access to my Friday videos, and they'll also be real-time. So I've zoomed in so that you can like see the texture of the wood. I'm glad I didn't prime it because I was thinking of doing that, but I changed my mind, and that actually allowed me to be able to pick up that wood texture with the second layer of paint, because I was dry brushing it mostly. The first layer was a bit more wet, but I dry brushed the second layer. And now with the purple, I'm just darkening up like mostly the middle, because I thought that's like where I was going to put most of my design, and I do need it to be nice and dark so it would pop off the boomerang and I would be able to like see. And I'm dry brushing just so I can get like a lot of texture in there, and you can see the paint was still very chunky. And then like after I added like the dark details, I went in with a bit of yellow ochre just so it didn't look, I didn't want it to look like a flat color. I wanted you to be able to see all the tones and the textures of the paint. So I went in with a little bit more yellow ochre just to kind of brighten it up. And then you can see I'm focusing most of the purple in the middle of the boomerang. And I also painted the back. I didn't really make sure it was like all perfect or anything like the front, because you won't be seeing it. But I basically just used all of my leftover paint on the back. Because I was going to varnish the whole thing just like the smudge bowl, but I didn't want the back to just be like plain wood, and I also didn't want to waste the paint, so I used all my excess paint on there. I did take a little bit of brown though, because I didn't want it to look orange when I added the red. So yeah, so I did the back just the same way I did the front, and then it would all look very nice. So if I was to take it off the wall, it would still look good. Yeah, it just didn't have a pattern though on it. There was no real need for that. Oh, and I also didn't really dry brush the back of the boomerang. I did have to kind of make my brush kind of wet to pick up any of the excess paint and make it spread evenly around the boomerang. But again, it's the back, so it didn't matter too much. And you can see I added a little bit more purple. So you will see that the boomerang will now look gold, like will have gold bits. I didn't realize that the camera had turned off while I was adding the gold textures, and again I dry brushed that on to pick up all that wood grain texture. So I'm using the Reeves titanium white paint with a Rowney rigger brush or detail brush, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to put the design, and I did kind of plan it out a little bit in like one of my sketchbooks, but the design that I had planned was very simple to what it looked like before. So first I'm putting like this kind of flower mandala kind of thing in the middle, and then I'll have like leaves coming off from the side. And this is very sped up, so I do move nice and slowly to kind of keep my hand steady and everything. So it seems to be like an ongoing theme in what's like decorating my studio. It's either kind of got purples in it because purple's my favorite color, or actually purple and red. I really do like purple and red, but purple's my favorite. Or it has like all these like mandalas and stuff in it. Oh, and I did use my smudge bowl a little while back. I've used it twice now, and I really love it. The only thing is I put the hole in like the wrong place, so it doesn't really catch the incense perfectly, but that's okay. I think I know how to fix that. And I do plan to make smudge bowls available on my shop, as well as have a possibility for custom orders too. So look out for that. I will be launching that in February, as well as custom needle felted portraits of like your doll, but in like brooch form. So you can look out for that. That's coming up in February. At the moment, I'm just like finalizing designs and stuff for the smudge bowl and just sorting things out, so when I launch it, everything will work. So yeah, so that will be coming up in February, so you can look out for that. And you can see I've put like the vine and the leaves on, and like I still had like a lot of space to fill, and I had planned to put some swirls, so I'm doing like the swirls. And when I added the dots, I thought it looked really cool because it looked as if they were like growing off of the vine. And I will go in and add some more dots as well, so that all looked like really planned. And I thought I was going to leave it like that. I thought I was going to have some empty space, but you will very quickly see that that is not the case. I did do the other side like off camera, just because it was really tricky to keep it in frame because I'm having to move it so much. And when you're doing stuff like that, it is a good idea to constantly move what you're doing, so it's more comfortable when you're painting. And yeah, and always like if you're doing something that will be put like not straight in front of your face, you can like kind of check what it looks like from afar to see if you can really see all the details, which is also why it's important to have it on a dark background. So now you can see I'm adding these kind of like hilly kind of bits to fill those spaces. And you can see this isn't symmetrical because I didn't plan it out with a pencil or anything. If you want to, then you can if you're doing something like this, but I didn't mind too much. It's all kind of wonky, but that's really my style. I tend to wing things anyway. So yeah, so I didn't mind that it wasn't like perfectly symmetrical. And to make these things kind of work, it's a good idea to carry on like the design, so it's like a repeating pattern, so it all does look planned out even if it's not symmetrical or anything. And I do go over everything with a second coat because it just wasn't opaque enough, and I did want it to really stand out. So I'm just filling in all those spaces. And one thing I did want to say, if you are inspired by any of my videos, please do tag me on Instagram and on Facebook, or you can share my Facebook group if you want to. I would love to see what you guys create. And you can let me know in the comments below if you want to see any more of these like random art projects. I think I have a couple things like I found that I want to redecorate, and if you guys are interested, I would definitely share that with you because I enjoy doing it, and hopefully you guys enjoy watching me give like old things a new lease of life. So I am almost done with that. I think, yep, that is the last bits. Getting in those areas were really tricky because especially on the right side of the boomerang, everything had really small spaces. But yeah, so after I gave everything a second coat, I gave it 24 hours to dry before I varnish it. Always follow the instructions on your varnish. Just so that you don't like pick up anything. Oh, and I forgot to put in that I do sign the back. I use a paint pen. I can't remember the name, but of course it'll be down in the description below to sign my name. And I made sure to do that because I forgot to do that with the smudge bowl, so I had to do that. And then when I varnished it, I did kind of smudge it, so that also got 24 hours to actually more, because I varnished the front first, and then after 24 hours I do the back, and then I'll do the front, so everything gets a good varnish. The back only gets like one layer, but I'm not too worried because it is the back. But on the bottle it recommends to have 2 layers of varnish, so I made sure to put the 2 layers of varnish on the front. So I do front, and then I do back, and then I do front again, and I let that dry. I haven't put it up yet. I'm not too sure how to display it, so but in the studio tour you'll see what it looks like. And yeah, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Click that bell so you get notified whenever I upload a new video. And yes, so thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you guys all next week. Bye.